Welcome back to Fatter Wallets Reads. We're the show that, well, we break down the most influential books on money, business, and mindset for you.
Yep. Cutting through the noise to get to those core ideas that can actually help you on your financial journey.
And today we're tackling a really big one. It's a book that's generated a ton of discussion, both love and, well, intense debate.
That's right. We're talking about the Total Money Makeover, a proven plan for financial fitness by Dave Ramsey.
Now, this book, it isn't some, high-level academic text on investing theory for Wall Street types. Not at all.
No, definitely not. It's really a guidebook focused squarely on getting out of debt and changing your behavior around money.
Its whole mission is simplicity. It wants to boil down financial health to just a few basic, actionable steps. It's loud. It's very prescriptive.
And for a lot of people, millions actually, it's been genuinely life-changing.
What makes it so, well, compelling and sometimes controversial is just how simple and uncompromising it is.
Right. The main argument is that the basic rules for winning with money, they're timeless. They're kind of like the advice, your grandmother might give you.
Or God and your grandmother, as the book puts it.
Exactly. The problem, it argues, isn't the knowledge. It's our culture, which tends to worship complexity. We make things complicated.
Like, we use complexity as an excuse not to act, or to justify paying fees we don't need.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the result is that common sense about money just isn't common practice anymore.
And the author himself, his credibility, it doesn't really come from fancy degrees, although I think he has a finance degree.
He does, but that's not what he emphasizes. His authority comes from, well, failure. Big failure.
Yeah, he tells this story about building up a, $4 million real estate portfolio in his 20s.
That's the one. And then losing absolutely everything. Bankruptcy, the whole deal.
Wow.
And he calls that whole experience earning his PhD in DUMB.
Huh.
So the point is, his plan isn't some abstract theory. It came directly out of making really painful, real-world mistakes.
And that journey taught him something fundamental, didn't it? About knowledge versus behavior.
Absolutely. He landed on this idea that financial fitness is maybe 20% head knowledge, knowing the math, the formulas, but a massive 80% is just behavior and mindset.
80% behavior, that's huge.
It is. Because if your behavior is broken, it doesn't matter how mathematically perfect your plan is. It's just not going to work.
Okay, so that distinction, 80% behavior, 20% knowledge, that seems like the real starting point here.
Totally. Because think about it. Most people kind of know they should save more and spend less, so why don't they?
Implementation, right? The doing is the hard part.
Exactly. And doing it requires, well, psychological fuel, momentum, intensity. Ramsey found that successful people, like the millionaires he studied, they keep things really simple.
No complicated strategies.
Nope. Uncomplicated philosophies. Simple, clean money management. The real challenge is getting people to actually act on those simple truths day in and day out.
Which leads us to the core philosophy, the motto of the whole thing.
Yeah, live like no one else.
So later you could live like no one else. Meaning, make sacrifices now that others aren't willing to make so you can have a future financial freedom they won't have.
And to get there, you need this intense, focused action. He has a name for it.
Gazelle intensity, I remember that.
Right. Picture a gazelle being chased by a tada. It's not casually jogging along, is it?
No, it's running for its life. Frantic.
That's the level of focus and frantic effort the book says you need to escape the danger of debt. It means you have to be completely sick and tired of being sick and tired.
That metaphor, it really reframes things. It's not just, I'm a bit tight on cash. It's, I'm in immediate danger.
Yes. And that connects to another key idea. Mediocrity, being just fine financially, that's actually the enemy?
The enemy of the best future you could have. Because if you're just fine...
You don't feel the urgency to change. You become like that frog in the pot of slowly heating water.
The boiling frog analogy. You don't notice the danger until it's too late.
Exactly. So the challenge is to choose the discomfort, the pain of changing your habits now, proactively.
So you don't have to face the much worse forced pain later on. Foreclosure, bankruptcy, that kind of thing.
Right. Okay, so how do you actually do this? That's where the methodology comes in. The baby steps.
The core idea here is sequence, isn't it? You can't do everything at once.
Absolutely critical.
Mm-hmm.
It's like trying to eat an elephant. You can't swallow it whole.
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. Think about someone starting a crazy fitness plan, lose 100 pounds, run a marathon, lift heavy weights, all on day one. What happens?
Total burnout. Failure.
Right. So the baby steps are designed to prevent that.
Mm-hmm.
You focus only, and I mean only, on the step you're currently on.
Even if that means ignoring other important things for a while, like saving for retirement.
Yes, explicitly. If you're in the early debt clearing steps, you are told not to worry about retirement or college savings. The goal is maximum focus, maximum intensity on getting out of debt first.
Okay. But before you even start step one, there's something foundational you have to do.
The zero-based budget. This is non-negotiable.
How does that work? Exactly. Zero-based.
It forces you to be intentional with every single dollar. The rule is income minus outgo equals zero before the month starts.
So every dollar gets a job. Rent, food, savings, debt payments, assigned beforehand.
Every single dollar gets a name. This stops that whole, where did my money go feeling at the end of the month. No more mystery spending.
What about people with variable income, like freelancers or commission-based workers?
Same principle, slightly different execution. You list your expenses in order of importance, not just urgency. Then, as income arrives, you fund that list from the top down.
And if the money runs out before you get to the bottom of the essentials...
That forces a really tough but necessary conversation about lifestyle adjustments.
Yeah.
The budget is the tool that makes your intentions concrete.
Okay, budget nailed down.
But
then we hit baby step 2, attacking the debt. And this is where we get the famous or infamous debt snowball.
Yes, the core behavioral tool. You list all your debts, credit cards, car loans, student loans, medical bills, everything except your main mortgage. And you list them from the smallest balance to the largest balance. Smallest to largest.
Regardless of the interest rate.
Regardless of the interest rate. That's the key. You pay minimums on everything except that smallest debt. You throw every extra penny you can find at that smallest one until it's gone.
And this is where the math folks start shouting right. Because mathematically, paying the highest interest rate debt first, the debt avalanche saves more money over time.
It does, mathematically. But remember the 80-20 rule. 80% behavior.
Right.
The actual dollar difference between the snowball and avalanche, especially in the short term, is often pretty small. Maybe a few $100. But the psychological difference is huge.
How so?
When you knock out that first small debt, maybe it's only $500, you get an immediate win, a quick victory.
The positive reinforcement.
Exactly. That win fuels your motivation, your gazelle intensity to keep going and attack the next slightly bigger debt.
Yeah.
You need that momentum to sustain the effort, especially when you're feeling deprived and making sacrifices.
So the psychological boost outweighs the slightly higher interest paid. It's behavior modification over pure math optimization.
That's the argument. It builds stamina, like clearing small hurdles before you tackle the big ones.
Makes sense. But to really maximize the speed during the snowball phase, the book makes another pretty radical suggestion.
Yes. Stopping all retirement contributions.
Even if there's a company match, like free money.
Even with the match. This is probably the single most debated piece of advice in the whole plan. You are literally saying no thanks to potentially a 100% guaranteed return.
Okay, I have to push back here. As someone focused on wealth building, especially for younger listeners, giving up that match, losing that compounding time, that sounds incredibly risky long-term. How is that justified?
It's justified purely through the lens of intensity and singular focus. The argument is, if non-mortgage debt is truly an emergency situation that's dragging you down, you have to treat it like one. Throw everything you have at it.
So the idea is the short-term loss of the match is less damaging than the long-term drag of the debt.
Right. And the speed you gain by throwing all extra money, including what would have gone to retirement, at the debt, gets you debt-free faster. Then, immediately, you redirect all that money, the old minimum payments, the extra payments, and the retirement money you paused back into investing, often at a much higher rate than before.
So the freedom from the debt payments allows for a hyper-aggressive saving later.
That's the theory. It's framed as a temporary psychological sprint to break free, not a permanent strategy. It's about breaking the debt cycle completely first.
I see the logic, even if it feels counterintuitive mathematically.
Yeah.
Okay, so while you're attacking debt, you need some kind of safety net. That brings us to the emergency fund steps.
Baby steps 1 and 3. The Murphy-repellent.
Because Murphy's Law says...
anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And it usually does when you can least afford it. So the emergency fund isn't for investing. Its only job is protection, peace of mind, keeping the next crisis from becoming new debt.
Step 1 is the starter fund. Save $1,000 fast. Why $1,000?
It's just a baseline. Enough to cover most common small emergencies. The dishwasher breaks. You need a minor car repair, an unexpected medical copay. It creates an immediate psychological buffer.
And if you have to dip into it.
Crucially important. You pause the debt snowball, step 2. and immediately focus all extra money on refilling that $1,000. Discipline is key. Protection comes first.
Then, after all the non-mortgage debt is gone, you move to the big one. Baby step 3, building a fully funded emergency fund.
Right. 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses.
How do you decide? 3 months or 6?
It's all about your risk profile. The book strongly suggests leaning towards 6 months if your income is unstable, self-employed, commission-based, single-income household.
Or if you have ongoing health issues, maybe.
Definitely. Anything that increases the odds of income disruption or large unexpected bills points towards needing that bigger cushion. If you have 2 stable jobs, long employment history, maybe 3 months is enough.
And it's based on expenses, not income, right? What you absolutely need to survive.
It's exactly. Bare bones survival budget, rent, mortgage, utilities, basic food, transportation, minimum insurance. You strip out all the extras, restaurants, entertainment, even investing temporarily if you had to live off it.
The example used is pretty stark. A $550 car repair. For someone without savings, that's a crisis.
Right. It means going into debt, stress, maybe missing work, but with a fully funded emergency fund.
It's just an inconvenience. Annoying, but manageable.
You write the check, pay for the repair, and then you immediately start working to replenish the fund. No debt incurred. Huge difference in stress levels.
Okay, so the success of these steps really hinges on this absolute rejection of debt as a normal part of life. Let's dig into the critique section now, because this plan fundamentally challenges a lot of mainstream financial thinking.
It really does. It attacks the common idea, often taught in business schools, that debt is a tool, using leverage to build wealth faster.
Ramsey's position is that the risk just isn't worth it.
Not even close. He argues the risk introduced by debt completely cancels out, or even outweighs, any potential advantage from leverage.
And the statistic he uses is pretty brutal. The foreclosure fact.
Yeah, simple and chilling. 100% of homes that went into foreclosure had a mortgage on them.
Obvious, but powerful.
It drives home the point that without debt, an economic storm like a job loss or recession might hurt, but it can't take your house. Debt acts as a risk amplifier. Great in good times, potentially devastating in bad times.
It lines up with that proverb he quotes, "The borrower is slave to the lender."
Constantly. Debt creates obligation and removes options.
Let's break down some specific consumer debt myths the book tackles. It calls them dumb math and stupid tax, starting with new cars.
Oh yeah, the stupid tax on a new car is huge. That typical $28,000 car loses something like $17,000 in value in the first 4 years.
It's gone, evaporated value.
That's $17,000 you pay just for the privilege of driving something brand new off the lot. Money that could have been saved, invested, or used to pay off debt.
So the advice is buy used, reliable cars with cash.
Strongly advocates for it. Get rid of the car payment entirely. That monthly payment is one of the biggest things keeping average people broke.
And leasing. Even worse, apparently.
Absolutely the worst, financially speaking. Those low monthly payments are deceptive.
Why? What's hidden?
2 main things. Really high effective interest rates, often averaging 14% or more, because the disclosure laws are different than for loans. And then you get hit with penalties on the back end, mileage overages, wear and tear charges.
So you never build equity, pay high hidden interest, and might owe money when you return it.
Yep. It's the most expensive way to operate a vehicle, period. Smart money avoids car payments altogether. Freeing up that few $100 a month makes a massive difference in your ability to build wealth.
Okay, what about other predatory stuff? Rent to own.
That preys on impatience. The book calls it the red-faced kid mentality. I want it and no you.
Like a toddler tantrum, but with finances.
Yeah, exactly. You can't wait to save $500 for a washing machine, so you sign a rent-to-own deal and end up paying $1,800 for it over time.
Wow. The effective interest rate must be astronomical.
It often is. Calculated annually, it can easily be over 1,000%, sometimes hitting 1,800% or more. It's purely exploiting that lack of patience. If the red-faced kid is making your money decisions, you're staying broke.
And 90 days, same as cash. Sounds tempting. Free money for 3 months.
It sounds good, but it works for the lender because most people don't pay it off in 90 days.
And then what happens?
Then the interest kicks in, often at a really high rate, and frequently it's retroactive, backdated to the day you bought the item. Ouch.
Plus, you'd probably lose bargaining power, right, if you'd walked in with cash.
You likely could have negotiated a discount that the financing deal prevents.
Yeah.
So you lose the cash discount and take on the risk of high-interest debt. Double whammy.
Another big one is emotional debt. Co-signing or loaning money to family and friends.
Yeah, this is where finances meet relationships, and it gets messy fast. The argument is simple. Co-signing is pure emotional risk.
Because if the bank needs a cosigner,
It means the primary borrower is statistically a high default risk. The bank, whose job is risk assessment, won't take the chance alone. Why should you?
you take on 100% of the liability with zero benefit.
And what usually happens? The borrower defaults, your credit gets wrecked, you're stuck with the payments, and the relationship is often ruined. Just a terrible idea all around.
So what's the alternative if someone you care about is genuinely struggling?
If you have the money and you want to help, give it to them as a gift. No strings attached.
And if you can't afford to give it,
Then you can't afford to loan it or co-sign for it. Giving keeps the relationship intact. Loaning or co-signing introduces this toxic element of obligation and potential resentment.
okay, let's shift gears to mortgages. The book critiques some common, supposedly sophisticated ideas here too, like keeping a mortgage just for the tax deduction.
Classic dumb math, as Ramsey calls it. People think they're winning because they get a tax break.
But the math doesn't work out.
Not if your goal is to be debt-free. Let's say you pay $10,000 in mortgage interest in a year, and you're in a 30% tax bracket. That deduction saves you $3,000 on your taxes.
Okay.
You sent $10,000 out the door to get $3,000 back. You're still $7,000 poorer. It's not income. It's just a discount on an expense you wouldn't have if you didn't have the debt. Paying $10 to save $3K is not a winning strategy.
Makes sense when you put it like that. What about borrowing against your home equity, a HELOC, to invest? Borrow at 8%, invest for 12%, pocket the 4% difference. Sounds easy.
Sounds easy, but it's incredibly risky and ignores crucial factors,
No.
namely taxes and risk.
How do those dismantle the easy 4% idea? Let's start with risk.
Okay, risk or beta. When you borrow to invest, you're using leverage. That magnifies gains, sure, but it also magnifies losses. If the market dips, and it will U-shape, your investment value drops, but you still owe the full amount you borrowed against your house.
The theory assumes smooth sailing in the market, which isn't realistic.
None at all. And then there are taxes. The interest you pay on the home equity loan might not even be deductible anymore, depending on how you use the money and current tax laws.
Okay. And the investment profits.
Those are taxed too, capital gains tax. So you're paying potentially non-deductible interest on the loan and then paying taxes on any profit you might make.
So that neat 4% spread shrinks dramatically.
Drastically. After you factor in realistic market volatility and taxes, the potential net gain might be tiny, maybe $200 on a large loan. And for that tiny potential gain, you've put your home on the line. The risk vastly outweighs the potential reward. Foreclosure is a catastrophic loss.
The book really hammers this point with stories about risky loan types like adjustable rate mortgages, ARMs, and balloon mortgages.
Yeah, these are seen as fundamentally flawed because they shift all the interest rate risk onto you, the borrower. With an ARM, your initially low payment can skyrocket if rates go up.
And balloons are even scarier.
Much scarier. The entire remaining principal balance becomes due in one lump sum after a short period, like 3 or 5 years. You're betting you'll be able to sell or refinance before that deadline hits.
And life doesn't always cooperate with those bets. The story of Jill in the book.
It's heartbreaking, but illustrative. Her husband was a high earner. They took out a 5-year balloon, planned to move well before it was due. Perfect plan on paper.
But then Murphy showed up.
Big time. Year 3, her husband gets diagnosed with an aggressive brain tumor, becomes permanently disabled. Income gone, medical bills pile up, credit tanks.
So when the balloon payment came due,
They couldn't pay it, couldn't refinance, lost their home. Despite having done everything right financially just a couple of years earlier, those risky loans leave zero margin for unexpected life events.
okay, so once the debt is gone, except the mortgage, and the emergency fund is full, we move into wealth building. Baby step 4. Invest 15% of your gross income for retirement.
Right. And the recommendation is pretty straightforward. Invest in good quality growth stock mutual funds.
The book often mentions aiming for a 12% average annual return long term. That number gets a lot of pushback these days, doesn't it?
It does. Financial planners point to lower expected returns going forward, inflation, sequence risk. It's a fair critique. The 12% is based on long-term historical averages of things like the S&P 500, which was around 11.7% over like 80 years.
So should listeners bank on getting 12%?
Probably not wise to bake that specific number into your plan as a guarantee. The more important takeaway is the type of investing. Keep it simple. Diversified mutual funds, maybe growth in income, aggressive growth, international. Avoid complexity. Stick with it long term. That aligns with the millionaire habits.
And critically, you stick to that 15% investment rate while you're paying off the house in the later steps, right? You don't pause investing again.
Correct. Very important. Don't cut back on the 15% retirement investing to throw extra at the mortgage. You need the power of compound growth working for you over those years. Losing that compounding time is more costly than paying the mortgage off a year or two faster.
Okay. Then step 5 is college savings. This is a huge stressor for parents, especially with college costs rising so fast.
Yeah, the book quotes college inflation around 8% per year, which is just brutal. It dwarfs regular inflation.
Which means traditional savings methods just don't cut it.
Not even close. Savings accounts, CDs, even savings bonds at maybe 5%. They all lose purchasing power against that 8% inflation. Cash value life insurance. Even worse, often less than 2% return.
So you need growth potential. What's recommended?
Things like education savings accounts, ESAs, or flexible 529 plans are preferred, specifically plans that let you invest in those same types of growth stock mutual funds. You need the potential for higher returns to outpace tuition hikes.
And the stance on student loans.
Uncompromising. Calls them a cancer. Avoid them at all costs. This might mean choosing schools based on affordability, starting at community college, scholarships, work-study, kids working. Creative solutions to get the degree without the debt burden.
Makes sense. We touched on risk management with the emergency fund, but the book also covers insurance and estate planning more broadly.
Yeah, often overlooked but critical. People focus on offense, investing, and forget defense protection, the #1 cause of bankruptcy. Still medical bills.
So having the right insurance is key. What types?
Auto and home, obviously, but with high deductibles to keep premiums down, paired with high liability limits to protect your assets if you're sued.
And health insurance.
The recommendation often leans towards health savings accounts, HSAs, paired with high deductible health plans. HSAs are powerful tools, triple tax advantage. Contributions are deductible, growth is tax-free, and withdrawals for medical costs are tax-free. It helps cover that high deductible risk while also being an investment vehicle.
What about long-term care insurance?
Yeah, it's generally recommended for people over 60. It's crucial for protecting your nest egg from being wiped out by the massive costs of nursing homes or extended in-home care later in life. It's purely defensive.
And the final piece of protection, estate planning.
Yeah, the statistic is sobering. Something like 70% of Americans die without a will, which means the state decides what happens to your assets and minor children.
Not ideal.
Not at all. A will isn't morbid. The book frames it as a fundamental gift of clarity to your grieving family during a difficult time. It ensures your wishes are known and followed.
Okay, that covers the whole process and the main critiques and principles. Let's boil it down. For someone listening right now, feeling motivated, what are the biggest, most actionable takeaways from the Total Money Makeover?
We've pulled out 5 core ideas, kind of mindset shifts and actions that really capture the essence of this approach.
All right, takeaway number 1, choose behavior over math.
Look, if your super smart, mathematically optimized financial plan isn't actually working, if you're still stressed and sinking in debt, then the plan isn't the problem, your behavior is. You need to accept that sometimes psychological wins matter more than perfect efficiency.
Like the debt snowball. It feels good, so you stick with it.
Exactly. That momentum is more valuable than saving a few bucks on interest if the smarter plan makes you want to quit. Adopt that gazelle intensity. Change the actions, not just the spreadsheet.
Okay. Number 2, embrace the pain of change.
Don't wait for a crisis, a layoff, a health scare to force you to change your money habits. The discomfort of making changes, now cutting spending, selling stuff, budgeting tightly, it pales in comparison to the agony of financial ruin later.
Be the frog that jumps out before the water boils?
Yes. Choose the temporary pain of discipline over the long-term pain of regret and financial bondage.
Number 3, your lifestyle is your enemy.
Stop the comparison game. Stop trying to keep up with the Joneses, because odds are the Joneses are broke, leveraged to the hilt. This connects back to other great books like The Millionaire Next Door. Real wealth is often quiet. It prioritizes security over looking rich.
So it requires a deep internal shift.
A total money makeover of your mindset. Choosing financial independence over impressing people you don't even like with money you don't really have. Align spending with your values, not external pressures.
Makes sense. Number 4, fund your protection first.
Before you get fancy with investing, build your defenses. That emergency fund is everything that protects all the other steps. Think of it as the walls around your financial city, especially if you have unstable income or health issues. Max that fund out to 6 months. It turns potential catastrophes into mere inconveniences. You can't build lasting wealth on a shaky foundation.
And the final takeaway, number 5. This one feels more philosophical. Define your purpose, stewardship.
Right. The book argues that money doesn't change who you are, it just amplifies it. If you're a jerk now, more money just makes you a bigger jerk. If you're generous with little, you'll be incredibly generous with much.
So what's the point of getting wealthy?
The ultimate goal isn't just accumulating cash, it's reaching what Ramsey calls the pinnacle point, where your money is working harder than you are. That freedom gives you choices.
Choices beyond just consumption.
Exactly. It gives you the capacity, the control, to use your resources for a larger purpose. For giving, for blessing others, for making a difference in ways that matter to you. That's the stewardship aspect.
That pinnacle point idea, where money works harder than you do, that really is the ultimate financial freedom, isn't it? And it all starts with these sometimes difficult behavioral steps we've talked about.
It does. It forces you to ask, if money wasn't an obstacle, what would you do? What purpose would that freedom serve? Answering that question is maybe the real end game here.
If you enjoyed this look at the Total Money Makeover on Fatter Wallets REITs, make sure to subscribe and visit fatterwallets.com, where you'll find more content, tools, and book-based insights to help you on your Fatter Wallets journey.